What's up, Bulldogs? All right, I've got an investment for you that may actually 10x or 100x in the crypto space. Now, this is probably pretty rare for you to hear me talking about investing in the crypto space, because I think a lot of you guys think I'm against crypto. I'm not against crypto. I'm just against betting everything on crypto and thinking that you're going to become rich just by taking your money and putting it into crypto, because I don't think that that's true. I think that's a bad idea. However, one thing that I'm super interested in is real estate investment, and I found something that is a combination of real estate investment and crypto, and there's two ways that you can invest in this, right? So I've become an advisor for a company called Asset Avenue, and what they are doing is they are essentially tokenizing real estate investment. So they're making it so that you can take real world assets, right, in this case the real estate, and put it on the blockchain as far as ownership. So think of it as, having a real estate investment that is an NFT, right? And that secures the ownership. You've got contracts that are going to define exactly how distributions are done from that real estate when you have multiple people owning that piece of real estate. So it's really solving this huge problem that as soon as I heard of the blockchain and started to understand crypto, I was like, okay, the clear application for this is real estate investing or real estate in general, the ownership of physical assets. But no one has really been able to solve this problem, and it's a $1 trillion problem. Honestly, it's more than that. Even it's a multi-trillion-dollar problem considering all of the real estate that exists in the world. But after I talked to Asset Avenue, I was very, very convinced that they've actually solved this problem. And so the reason why I'm telling you about this is for a couple of reasons, right? So one, I believe that this is a huge opportunity, right? So they're doing pre-sale on their coin. It's AAV. I'll show you it in a minute here. In fact, let me just, if you want to TLDR, I'll jump to their website. They're doing a pre-sale here. You want to get in on this pretty quickly if you want to get in on this. They're raising pre-sale funds for this. It's already selling out very, very quickly. But I would recommend that if you want to take this investment, that you get in at this point, because if they're able to solve this problem, and I have a lot of good evidence to believe that they are, then this could easily 10x, 100x, even more than that. Because the way that this works is you have to have this AAV token and you have to stake it in order to be part of this Asset Avenue club. Right. And so when you're part of this Asset Avenue club, you get access to these real estate projects. You can create your own real estate projects and you can invest in these projects. And so what will happen is that you can have fractional ownership of real estate, and then you can invest in that real estate and get, let's say, the rent that's being paid out. You're going to get a percentage of that rent or whatever that works out to be. And it's all enforced through the blockchain, right? So the ownership, the payments, all of this stuff is enforced through the blockchain. So there's so many really interesting things about this that, I mean, I could do a several hour video on this, right? They're using a DAO in order to govern the project. And then each piece of real estate that's purchased through Asset Avenue, you're going to have a separate legal entity that you're going to have ownership of, right? If you're part of the Asset Avenue club, if you've staked your token. So, and the reason why they're doing it this way is to make sure that they're not violating any kind of the Securities and Exchange Commission regulations around securities laws, because it's not just open to the public, right? So in order to get in on these real estate deals, you have to be part of the club of Asset Avenue. In order to do that, you have to have the AAV tokens and you have to stake them. And so what is the value of this? The value of this means that in order for people to do these real estate transactions on the blockchain, they are going to have these AAV tokens, and they need a certain amount of AAV tokens that are staked in order to invest and to be part of that, right? So it's a really cool opportunity on multiple fronts. So on one front, there's a great opportunity right now to get in and to buy the token, right? To get some of that token so that you can see that go up once it gets listed on the exchanges. And there's some pretty good reasons to believe that they're going to be able to get listed on Coinbase or Binance, which could really just blow up the token, right? I think that it's very likely. I would expect that this token will probably go on sale when it finally actually launches at maybe 10 cents per, right? You can see that the price right now is is a lot cheaper than that. But I really think that they're going to get on the tier 1 exchange listings, and there's really good reason to believe this, right? So the other thing about this is that there's a huge opportunity here, I think, to invest in real estate if you've been wanting to invest in real estate, and to do this in a way that you don't have to have a huge amount of funds, right? So one of the biggest things with real estate investing, I work with people all the time and coach them on real estate investing, is that you have to have like $20,000, $30,000 really to be able to invest in real estate, right? There's some other options like roof stock and things like that where you have fractional ownership, but they're not really good. And the reason why is because you don't get all the benefits of owning real estate in many of those cases. And then you've got management that is taking a lot of the fees out of this. But with something like this, I really think this is the future, right? And like I said, this is a problem that has not been solved yet, right? It's going to be solved. Someone is going to solve this problem. Someone is going to really make this mainstream. And I really think that Asset Avenue is going to be the company that does that, right? Other people have tried to do this. You know, it is the future, right? There is no way that I could see a possible future where real world assets such as real estate do not end up on the blockchain. It's so primitive the way that we keep records, right? So right now, if I were to buy a property in the US, I would have to have that title recorded with the county recorder, and they would have to go through the title company's job. What they do is they go through all of the recording and make sure they verify the chain of ownership of that property. This is all sitting in some archive, right? In a courthouse, there's mistakes that are made all the time. It's very difficult to verify this. You need someone to go into the courthouse, to go into the records, to look at these things. Whereas if everything is on the blockchain, it's very clear what the ownership is. It's very clear to transfer the ownership. There's a ton of benefits of this. I took some notes. I want to make sure that I hit all the notes here. So there's a countdown here. I mean, basically at this time, we'll see when this video comes out, you don't have much time to buy this. So there's a very limited amount of time here. I want to show you also, okay, so a couple of things I wanted to talk about here, because these were concerns that I had, because I really thoroughly researched this, because, you know, I don't, a lot of crypto stuff you have to be very careful with. So a couple things. One is the project security, right? So anti-rug pull, right? So this is something that, let me go into the white paper on this, because I think this is worth taking a look at. And you can see here with the staking, what you have to have is you have to have a certain number of AAV tokens. You stake them for a certain amount of time in order to get access to the trading in the actual club, right? If you wanted to buy real estate, right? So they have different levels here. So you can see how much AAV that you need in order to participate in various size projects of real estate projects. So I think this is very, very well done. Let's take a look at, oh yeah, the dashboard. Okay, so here, if we go to resources, okay. So here's the white paper. If you want to really get a good insight on how all this works, you can take a look. I've read through this entire white paper, and it goes into, you know, kind of everything here that I'm talking to you about. But what's really interesting is to look at, first of all, it's on Solana, right? So the technology stack, and they're using smart contracts to enforce all these things. So this makes a huge amount of sense, right? Especially, you know, you buy a real estate deal and you're part of that project, and there's some distributions from that real estate. Well, how do you ensure you're going to get your distributions? So you can get them by having a contract in place that ensures that the payments are going to be made, right? The tokenomics, this is kind of interesting here, right? So the team is only getting a small fraction of the tokens, of the total tokens, right? Most of it is going from the pre-sale and some airdrops, right? They have some for liquidity, and they have some for marketing, seed capital, advisors, right? I'll be getting some tokens as an advisor, and then they have staking rewards, right? So the team is getting a very small percentage, right? And not only that, but the way that they have set it up is that there is a vesting schedule. So if we take a look at the vesting schedule on this, you can see that for the advisors, we've got an 18 months and then a 3-month cliff, but the team has a 24-month vesting schedule. So there's no possibility of doing a rug pull, right? When you look at the way that these tokens are distributed, there's no possibility of doing that. There's no way that you can buy into this and then creators of the project are going to pull the rug on it. So I think that's really important, and just understanding how everything is set up here, right? And they've done all of the homework here in terms of the governance with the DAOs. If you buy a property through the Asset Avenue, then you would be managing it through a DAO. So that makes a whole bunch of sense. All of the legal and regulatory compliance, they've done all of those things as well, right? So, but here's something that's also super interesting about this as an opportunity, right? Right now, it's kind of the pre-sale phase. So if you want to get involved with this right now, the best thing to do is to go over and get the token, right? That's, let me go back to here. at least load up on enough of this so that you can get access as an investor. That's what I would recommend, to make sure that you can actually get into this if you're interested in buying real estate. But there's a huge opportunity for this token just blowing up by itself as a good investment. Again, it's not really an investment. It's still speculative because you're relying on it going up. But there's a really good reason, if you're going to take a speculative move, to believe that this one could be one that does really, really well. So that's what I would say is right now you've got the pre-sale option. But here's something that's super, super interesting to think about. Okay, this solves a really interesting problem. So let's say that you have a bunch of crypto right now and you made a lot of money on that crypto. How do you now get that crypto? How do you sell that crypto, get value out of that without paying a huge amount of taxes? It's a big problem, right? One of the things that I've often thought about is, would it make sense to take that crypto, if you've made a lot of profit on that crypto, and essentially buy real estate with it, where you're not actually cashing out the crypto? Okay, you're using it to stake into some real estate projects, and so then you're getting the dividends off of those real estate projects, right? So it's like, let's say that you bought, I don't know, $100,000 worth of crypto and it went up to $10 million. Okay, you've got a huge tax burden if you were to sell that crypto. But what happens if you take that $10 million worth of crypto and you put it into a real estate investment that's on the blockchain, where you're not actually taking a profit at this point, and now you can get distributions from that real estate? So essentially you're able to buy an asset tax-free because you're still on the blockchain. You still haven't cashed it out. Now there's some, I don't have a perfect knowledge of the tax laws and the legal compliance in terms of this, but that was always something that I thought would be extremely useful if you could do that. And so finally, I'm seeing a way that we can do this, right? Where, because that's what I want to do, right? I don't want to buy crypto, have it go up, be stuck with the tax burden from the profits of that, and then try to now convert that into real estate. I'd rather have that crypto go up and then be able to parlay that into real estate and get those profits out of the real estate, and I'll pay taxes on the profits from the real estate. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying here? So anyway, the short story is that you've got a good opportunity here to invest if you want to get in on this project. Like I said, I've vetted this very, very carefully because I'm not going to be an advisor on a project. You've heard me talk about crypto all the time and how it's not an investment, right? It's a speculation, right? And so this is a speculative move, 100%, right? I couldn't guarantee you anything. The only thing I can say is that I've vetted it to the point where I believe that this project is legitimate, that it will succeed. I believe that they're doing this better than anyone else that has come along and tried to do this, and that whoever solves this problem, whoever actually gets real estate to start being sold, transferred on the blockchain, that they are going to have a $1 trillion market that is going to be insane. And so that's why I think that, if I were to make a bet, I would say that the AAV token would make a lot of sense as a speculative move. Again, I wouldn't put all your money into this and just think that, oh, it's just going to definitely go up, because there's still huge risks involved. There still requires market adoption. But so far, I've been watching what's been happening in the space with RWAs, real world assets. And I can tell you that I have not seen anything that I would trust that has solved all of the legal and tax problems and compliance issues, and Asset Avenue has done that. So, I can't guarantee you that you're going to make a lot of money with this, but hey, I'm putting some investment in this. I'm acting as an advisor in this company because I believe that this project has the potential to be the one that actually solves this, and if they get on the level 1 exchanges, it's almost guaranteed that buying now will result in a very, very large profit for you. So good luck, and let me know if you decide to go along with this, or go through the white paper, read through that. Super, super interesting. I was trying to balance between making this video of having too many technical details and not enough, and so hopefully I've done a good job with that. But yeah, I'm super excited about this, as you can tell, because I really want to buy real estate with crypto, and this is the kind of project that allows you to do that. So yeah, I really hope that they succeed for multiple reasons. But yeah, right now is the kind of the pre-sale phase. So now you can buy the tokens. later, after they actually do the launch and they start putting projects, then you can start investing in projects if you have the tokens that you can stake. Which again, I wouldn't want to try and buy the tokens later when they're much higher in price, because that is likely what's going to happen. You know, it should still be somewhat of an accessible price so that people can get in and actually do real estate transactions. But obviously, it's going to go up at some point if they succeed in what they're trying to do, which, like I said, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. So, all right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.